With me, I have our guest psychologist, John Paul. John Paul, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Now, you've had conscious uncoupling. First, let me start. Is it something that is widely practiced here, chini ya maji, ama it's something that is coming up right now?
This is a new term.
Oh.
It's a new term because when you mention it, many people will ask you what is that.
Correct.
They've never heard about it, especially in our African setup.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's something that is being practiced outside Africa, especially in the West. Yeah, but it's a new concept that is being, I think it's a new concept, but it's something that has been going on. Maybe in a different perspective, but it's something that has been going on. Yes.
Just realizing that, you know, our needs come first. We don't have to live for the children, and we don't have to suffocate ourselves trying to fulfill other people's needs. It sounds selfish. It sounds very forthright, and it's not something that we are used to. So are you trying to say that here in Africa, like you said, tukikosana, we are always fighting?
I think we always look at kukosana ama divorce in a different way. Because when you get into relationship that leads to marriage, it's always that happy moment, happy life. But when it reaches a point that we cannot agree, then we totally don't agree. So it brings a lot of conflicts. And by the time we reach a point that we are separating, we are not even talking. I cannot even ask you for a glass of water because we have completely disagreed. Yes. But now with this conscious uncoupling is where it is not the end of life. It's not the end of life. You know, when you're getting to marriage, it's a process. It should be a process. I don't know whether we all go through that process. And when it reaches a point that we have to separate, it also needs to go through a very good process. Yes. But do we follow these processes? The process A of getting to marriage, we just find ourselves into marriages. I had her mentioning that in the first place, we don't even understand why we get into the marriages. Yes. So by the time we reach, we decide to separate, which again should be a process. Do we allow ourselves to go through that process? So in life, especially when it comes to marriages, you have to also know that, or be aware that we've reached a point that we cannot make it. And if it reaches that point, then why should you continue staying there? Yeah, she mentioned that people stay because of children. Or my dad is a CMA member. My mom is the guild chair lady. My uncle is the pastor of the church. So if I leave this marriage, it will be the societal thing. They'll start, oh, mtoto wako ni ametoka kwa marriages. But who is suffering? Them, they are going on with their lives, their marriages is going on well, but it's you who is struggling. So if you continue staying there, yet you are struggling, are you doing justice to yourself first? Secondly, are you doing justice to the kids? If you say that you are staying there for the kids, if something happens, God forbid, that person kills you, you will be dead. And this person will go to jail. Who will be there for these kids? So you have to agree. If it's not working, let's find a better way of supporting ourselves and also the kids. Yeah.
Tina, yes. I want to take you back a little bit. In your marriage, you said your husband was not violent. There was no violence. There was no infidelity. I mean, there wasn't much of this toxicity that you hear so much about. The only issue is that you felt like you were not yourself in it. You felt you lost yourself the moment you got married, and over time you realized you needed to take a step back and to strategize and reclaim your life. JP, what's your take on this? Because unaulizangwa when you want to go separate ways, unachapwa. Does he provide? Is he cheating? Nini ingine watu ulizwa? Like, you know, all these questions that people are asked. Yes. But in her case, there was none of that.
The expectations. You know, it's not must that you go through all these negative or the negative things for you to reach a point that you feel this is not working. Yes. But maybe as you are getting into that relationship, you had some expectations. And when these expectations are not met, then you feel like, do I really belong here? Yes. And it could be even, let's say, emotional attachment. Yes, emotional attachment, if it's not being met. You know, as human beings, we have different love languages. Yes. And maybe just as simple, your love language is not being met. Maybe you are somebody who likes receiving. Of course, as you like receiving, your love language is receiving and giving. And that person is not reciprocating. What happens? It means your expectations are not being met. So the moment you realize that you are not meeting this expectation, then you start drawing, you begin to draw back. Again, it could also be contributed by, let's say, even a small thing like the family of origin, or where you are at. Yes. So we say that I've said that getting into marriage should be a process, and you have to go through this process. If you don't follow this process well, then you'll realize that later on there are some things that you are expecting and were not met. Now, the first process that people who are getting into marriage should go through is the premarital counseling. And in the premarital counseling, I know there are churches, there are people who offer premarital counseling, but do they do it the right way? If you go to church, they'll even take you to the Bible. They want you to be that submissive woman, and that's what they preach. Yes. But when you get to premarital counseling, there are a number of issues that needs to be brought on table, and we discuss. And this could be even how to treat your families, finances, how to handle your finances. Even the child, the children, number of children. These are issues that needs to be discussed. When it comes to children, even the spacing. There are people who like to have the do re mi fa sol la ti do. Yes, but kuna wale anataka one, you give it a break. So these are things that we need to agree before we get into marriage in the premarital counseling. Sex, bed life, you need to discuss. If maybe my expectation is now that you are my wife, every time I need it, I'll get it. But you are a person who maybe needs I can take this time before I have another one. We need to discuss and agree. Now, when it reaches a point that these expectations are not being met, or you never discussed them, then you feel like, wow, I don't belong here. So you don't have to go through violence, you don't have to go through abuses for you to feel like now you have to let it go.
Tina, did you go through premarital counseling?
Yes, I did, and our premarital counseling was church-based. So we didn't discuss about children, we didn't discuss about finances, we didn't discuss family life. We were only counseled as regards what God expects in a marriage. We did it rigorously, the whole, I think it was, I can't remember how many weeks long, We finished the whole of it, but a few years down the line, I can't say how it helped me. Yeah. It was just a requirement. You have to do these classes before you're wedded in that church. Yeah, it was just a requirement,
Formality.
yeah, a formality.
Wow. Do you feel like if you had gone through a different kind of premarital counseling, your eyes would have been opened and maybe, just maybe, your life would not have had taken this direction?
Definitely, for a fact, 100%. If I had had the kind of counseling that I would like people to get right now, I would not even have gotten into the marriage. Yeah, in the first place, because one thing is that I was brought up a Christian. And I knew you cannot have children unless you're married, and you have to be married in church. And I really wanted children. So that was one of the reasons I got married, because I want children. But now, knowing what I know now, I really didn't have to get married to have children. We are co-parenting. If I had identified this man, this is the man I want to co-parent with, we could have come up with another arrangement. Let's have children. We don't have to be married. We'll still co-parent. We've gone the full cycle, and now we are back where we should have started if we had gotten the right counseling.
Wow. JP, she went through the church-based marital counseling, whereas you practice counseling psychology, whereby we are more open-minded and we give people a reality check. Are you able to compare how we do it and how churches do it, just kidogo?
Okay, we are not against church counseling. Yes. We are for church counseling. Of course, it's very important because we belong to the church. And church helps us to nourish our spiritual part. But if you compare the church counseling and the professional premarital counseling, the church counseling is more on the biblical and biblical perspective, where we use the biblical verses, the biblical quotes to help us live in the current world. But when it comes to the this other side, the professional premarital counseling, it's a reality check. There are things that you have to, before even you get to that church, you belong to this world, and you have to go through life experience. So these are reality check. There are things that happens in life, and you have to go. You can meet them in life. So you have to know that these are real things. It's a reality that when you get married, your brother can decide to come and stay with you. Yes. Or you can, maybe you've come in a family where there's that support system that you've left, but maybe your sister still wants to come and stay with you. A reality is that maybe you are the firstborn in your family. And the responsibilities, the firstborns always take that aspect of being the leaders and responsibility. You've left your family, you are coming into this marriage, but you still want to go ahead and offer that full support that you used to offer to your family. It's a reality. Now, we face that reality and we agree it's not bad to support them, but how do we go about them? So that as I get into marriage with you, I'm aware that Jackie is coming from a family, and this is how they used to live, or she used to support them. So how can we agree so that as she continues supporting them, it doesn't affect me as the spouse? It's a reality check. Getting into marriage, sex is a reality. And people have to, if you are in marriage, sex is key in marriage. We have to talk about it. Someone asked me that, is sex only supposed to be done at night when lights are off? No, it's a reality. You have to tell this person, we are getting into this marriage, and if we have to do it, we have to agree on how, what time, and when. In fact, when I'm teaching sexuality, I do say sex is a process. It's not just a 1 day, 1 hour thing that you come and do and you say that you've had sex. Do we have to talk and agree that if we have to do it, how do we go about it? I have to prepare you, you have to prepare me. It's a process before we get to the actual thing. And these are things that needs to be discussed. And that's the difference between the professional counseling and the church-based counseling. There are things that in church counseling will just be brushed.
Yeah. Like it's not important.
It's not important. But when it comes to reality, you have to face it. You know, when it comes, again, the premarital counseling will help you understand the person you are getting into marriage with better. You'll know him, or he will know you better. And maybe with that knowledge and awareness, you can decide to continue into the process of marriage or not. The moment you know me, you will know my true colors, my true face, my true behaviors. Then you can decide. It's a decision for you to make at the end of the premarital counseling.
Wow, that's insightful, JP. Thank you so much. Tina, as we come to the end, what would you like to tell that woman who's in a marriage that is unfulfilling, that is unhappy, that is not what she bargained for, and she's still stuck for a number of reasons? What would you like to tell her?
Well, I would tell her that there is so much more to life than playing roles that society has set for you. Life is so beautiful, it's abundant, it's amazing. And nobody's living your life but you. And so you may have so many expectations from all around you, but at the end of the day, it's all about you. People are not even concerned about, your nitty-gritty details. It's you who thinks that they are, but really they're not. Make decisions for yourself. Don't leave a marriage because Christine said. Don't stay in a marriage because society expects you to. Be honest with yourself and choose what you feel will amount to living the life that you came here to live. Yeah.
Wow, life is too short to live fulfilling other people's expectations while
Yeah.
neglecting your own.
Exactly, and the stigma will not last forever.
Yeah.
It will be a bit rough when you dissolve the marriage, but eventually you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Eventually you can still maintain a relationship, a peaceful relationship with your ex, and you can still co-parent together, and your children will still thrive. Yes, it's not the end of the world.
Wow. Beautifully put. JP, what word do you have for someone who might be undergoing what Christine went through and is still, stuck in a rut and doesn't know what steps to take to live an authentic life?
As a person, as human being, we are blessed. We are blessed, and God blessed us with one important thing. God gave us the free will. We have the power to make a choice. And this choice is within us, not from outside. So when you make that choice, you know the consequences. Every choice you make, it comes with its own consequences. You cannot choose the consequences, but you have that freedom or power to make the choice. So, if you are going through some issues in your marriage, it's upon you to decide what kind of life you want to live. If you want to continue living in that marriage, well and good. What do you do about it? If it's not working, don't fix it. You have to decide and live. Don't stick there that I'm doing it for my children, for my family, for whoever. Do it for yourself. So it's you who has the freedom and free will to choose if you want to continue living there or not. The decision lies to you. You are in charge of your life. Your life is in your hands. Handle it well.
You heard it from here. Sometimes the fairy tale does not end the way you intended. Don't get stuck in the idealistic world. Live in the realistic world. The end of a marriage does not mean the end of life. You can still maintain a wonderful relationship with your ex-partner and still parent your children in a healthy environment. Remember, this is about you. You need to fill your cup so that you can fill other people's cups. And remember, healing is the new cool. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.